Okay, welcome back everybody. This is my default scene. I'm going to model a chessboard today, and I'm going to spin our first piece. We're going to have a total of 6 pieces for our chess set, and then we're going to spin 5 of those, and the last one, the knight, we're going to go ahead and model. In any case, I'll delete the cube, and I want to move this to another layer, so I'll just move the cursor over the viewport, and I'll hit M to move. Oh, let me turn on my screencast keys. Again, I'm going to hit M to move, and I move it to a new layer, and then I'm going to go to that layer. And at this point, I can make a chessboard. And so I'm going to start this guy by making a kind of a wooden frame for the chessboard. So I'll tab into Edit Mode, and I want to extrude this guy simply straight up. And so go there, I'll extrude it again a little bit more, but this time I'm going to scale it in. I'll extrude it again on the Z-axis, and then maybe I'll scale that just a bit, and then I'll extrude and immediately hit scale. And so this will be the basis of my chessboard. Now I want to remove that so this becomes 2 separate objects, because I'm going to subdivide this other one. And so to do that, I'll just look at it straight from the top. If I just hit P, I can subdivide that selection, and then I go back to here, and I should be able to pull up just this guy. And so I can see that's just the right size and it's separated. So now I want to tab into Edit Mode, and I will select that whole guy. I'm going to hit W to go into Subdivide, and I want to subdivide this guy so that I have 8 squares on a side. So I think that does it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that looks good. And so now I'm going to color him. And so to do that, I think I will append some materials. I go to File, and I go to Append. Of course, this only works when I'm in object mode. And I've downloaded a bunch of materials mostly from BlendSwap, but I'm going to go to this MetaMassive Materials. I don't know who the author is, but at one point I downloaded it from BlendSwap. I think you can still find it there. They have lots of cycles, colors you can choose from, and I'll choose, I'll choose green, and I'll append one more. Let's choose, this time I'll do coral. Okay, so that'll be my 2 colors for my chessboard. And if I come back in now to color this guy, tab into Edit Mode, I'll take the entire thing and I'll make it one color. These guys are going to show up here. The Mars button for materials, I come down here and I'll make the whole thing coral. And if I go into rendered mode, if I have cycles on up here and over here in the render tab, I have GPU selected. So this is what I have. It's not very bright. I don't know. Oh, I'm in a different layer. Let's go ahead and move this whole guy back. Well, let's finish doing him here. So I'm going to finish coloring them, and then I'll put them back on the layer with the lamp. In any case, I need to choose every other square now by holding down the Shift key. Notice that I've got this button on down here for faces, and so this guy is going to be, every other face is going to be a different color. And so there's something wrong with my USB cable. I think the port might be going out. I'm having trouble selecting things. But unfortunately, coral happens to look very much like my select color, so that makes this a little bit more difficult. But when I'm done, I should have every other square selected. And then I go back to materials, and I'm going to do 3 things. I'm going to add a new material. Notice I'm in edit mode. I'm going to new material. I'm going to select that material. This is going to be green flakes, and then I have to do a 3rd thing, which is to assign it. And if I've done all that well, I should see a chessboard. Okay, I'll do one more. Excuse me. I'm going to do one more append. I'm going to append some kind of wood. And so if I come back to, oops, got to tab into object mode, file, append. And now on the far right of MetaMassive Materials, I'll just choose a wood pattern, and I will select the frame, this guy, and now I will choose the wood pattern, which again will show up over here. And so now let's take this entire thing. I'm just going to box select that whole guy, make sure everything is selected, and I will go back to M, move back to my original layer, then I'll go to that layer. And so now I'll be able to see what this looks like in render view. And so there we go. My light is a little bit light. I think I'll go ahead and, it's bumped up to 3. That should be enough. Let's see if I bump it up more. That looks okay. So that's going to be the colors, or at least I'll start off with these colors. Now this chessboard doesn't look great. I think I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to choose the wooden part of the chessboard, and I'm going to go over to my modifiers, and I'm going to add a modifier, and I'm going to try the bevel modifier on this. The bevel modifier will just kind of round those edges a little bit. I can bump up the number of segments, and so that will look a little bit nicer, I think. So now I've got my chessboard ready to go. Now I want to make a couple of chess pieces, so I'm going to come back over to another layer. I'm going to come back out of rendered mode, and what I want to do is get a picture in the background. So let's come right down here, kind of reorient myself. I'm going to say Shift S, cursor to center, and now if I move this guy in and kind of zoom in, this is where I want to be looking when I have hit the number 1. So let's say number 1 right there. Okay, so to make a chessboard, or to make a pawn, I'm going to go into edit mode, but first I need to add a single vertex, and so I think the simplest way to do this is to add a plane, tab into edit mode. I'll kind of zoom in here so I can see it. Make sure I go back to select vertices, and I want to take 3 of these vertices and delete them. So I'm just going to hit X for delete and delete those vertices. Now I'm going to take this one vertex here. Notice the 3D cursor and the origin are at the center already, so I'm going to simply say Shift S. The menu pops up and I say selection to cursor, so now I have a vertex and origin and the cursor all in the same place. Now the next thing I need to do is add an image. So if I come over here to my N panel, remember you get into the N tab by hitting N, and I'm going to go into background images, and I'm going to check that guy off. And I'm going to add an image, and this will pop up, and I'm going to save it on all views for right now, but open. I'm going to come into chess images, and I downloaded all of these from the internet. I'm just going to choose a chess set, and I think I will do this one. So now I can't see anything. It's in place, but to see it, I've got to have my number pad hit, number pad 1 in this case, and then if I still don't see it, I need to hit ortho view or toggle ortho view, and so that's good. So I've got my vertex here, and I'm ready to start modeling. Do not move the vertex to the picture, but move the picture to the vertex. So I want to make a pawn, and I can move the pawn horizontally by just moving this over this way, and I want to line him up as closely as possible with the center line here. So that center line is going right through the center of my pawn, and then I'll just move him up, and I can slide that guy over. And so this is, I'm going to go ahead and start here. This is just a reference, and so I can model using that. I'm going to turn off my gizmo for a moment. I've already got my vertex here. I'm in edit mode. Make sure my vertex is selected, and then I'm just going to come over and I'm going to start hitting Control left click, and I will put another vertex. And so there's a vertex there, and so forth. And you can be as detailed as you want. And this will take just a moment. But as I go through this, I'm going to get just the outline of one edge and one edge only. And so now I'm going to come back towards the center point, and that's what I'm going to spin. Now I happen to be looking at this from the side view, and so if I select this whole thing, let's see what it looks like from, this is the side view, this is the other side, and this is the top. And I want to spin this from the top view. So if I come back to tools now, notice I've got all of the vertices selected, and if I go to spin, this is going to spin around. If I spin it from here, it's going to do some weird things. It's going to kind of spin it from my perspective, and so that doesn't look too good. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to look at it again from the top view, and when I spin it from the top view, it's going to spin nicely right around the top. I've got 90 degrees here, so I'm going to change 90 degrees to 360 and do that, and then I'm going to bump up the number of cuts. I think I'll do 18. So that looks nice, and now I've got my chess piece started. And so to finish this guy off, I'm going to select all of them, and since I've wrapped this edge all the way around, I have a set of doubles, a set of 2 vertices in the same place. So if I just come down here, I'm still in tools, and I'm going to say remove doubles, and I can see I removed 40 vertices. And the only difference is when you have doubles, it's going to do weird things when you're shading. Okay, so now I'm going to add a subsurf modifier. You can go over here to tools and go to smooth shading, but that still looks a little bit weird. So if I come over here and go to add modifier, and I add a subsurf modifier, maybe I'll bump that up to 2, I begin to get the shape that I want, but I've lost all those sharp edges that I might want in certain places. So to deal with that, I'm going to go to loop cuts. I just do Control R, and I drag that loop cut down. I can go Control R up here and drag that one up. And wherever I want to have more of a sharp, less rounded delineation, I can do that. I think I put that in the wrong place, so I'll come back down here, and I'll come back down here and push that one up. I'm going to come down here and push that one down. I'll come here and push that one down. And I'm going to come down here and push that one all the way down. So this will begin to look a little bit more like the piece that I want. I think this guy, I want this guy to be a little bit sharper there. And I think that's looking pretty good. So that is going to be my chess piece, my first one. The only thing I need to do now is put the sphere on the top. So to do that, I'm going to select this guy. In fact, if I hit Alt Select, I'll select that whole ring, and then I'll say Shift S, cursor to selection, and then I'm just simply going to add. Notice I'm in edit mode. I want this guy to be part of the same object, and I'm going to add a UV sphere. And then all I have to do is hit 1 to see my chess piece again, come back in here, get it about the right size, and with my gizmo turned back on, I will bring this up to there. Maybe I'll make this a little bit larger, and I'm good to go. So now that chess piece is ready to go. I'm going to tab back into edit mode. I'm going to come over and choose one of my chessboard colors. Maybe I'll make this guy green, and then I hit M to go move to a new layer, move them back to that layer, then I'll go to that layer, and I can see that on my chessboard I now have my first chess piece, which is a pawn. The size of these might not match perfectly right now, but I can just change the size of this guy, and you can see he looks pretty good. If I grab him and move him over, I think I probably want to change the size, so I'll just simply scale him up, get him to what I think the right size is. I'll place him back in solid view, so I'll just move him back down until the space begins to disappear. And that's my first chess piece. If I want to see what these two pieces will look like together, I think that guy's a little bit too big, so I'll shrink him down. I'll just simply say Shift D and X, get my second piece, and I'm going to change the color of this piece. If I come back to my materials just for that one piece and change him, now I can see what my two chess pieces are going to look like on the chessboard. And so that's what I've got going so far. Of course, I could change all these materials later on. Now, I think that's it for today. So we've made a chessboard. We have created two chess pieces that are the same colors. And that's it for today. Bye-bye.